why rap? Music? Really? You know, so they were just still like catching the cruise, but they did not believe that this is something I was going to take seriously. Of course not. After how many thousands of dollars that I've scraped together to, you know, so you can't really want to do this for real. Double majored in biology and chemistry, but chose to be a rapper. Like,
for every time money shot, they blamed it on you. For everything I am today, I owe it all to you. From the heart, hip hop, I say thank you. From the heart, hip hop, I say thank you. From the heart, hip hop, I say thank you.
My name is Ladipo. They call me the leader of the revival. I'm a rap artist. I'm a lyricist. I'm a wordsmith. That's what I love to do the most, you know. And but more than anything, I'm a storyteller. Let's get into it. I grew up in Nigeria, Lagos, and I come from a big family. I know my cousins. Maybe a lot of people don't know their cousins, so I know my cousins, so it feels even bigger. But that really defined a lot about my childhood. I'm the eldest. My childhood was really like family oriented. I grew up in between GRA, Ikeja, and Okwebi. My granddad lived in Okwebi. And then Ibadan, every year, guaranteed I'm going to Ibadan because my father's family, that was where they were based, you know, but I'm originally from Osun State. And like, I say these things because these spaces really, that's the Nigerian life that I saw, you know. While I grew up in Ikeja, GRA, Shobole was just literally the street adjacent, parallel to us. And that like informed a lot of life because, you know, you have a nice, quiet streets, you can walk on the streets at whatever time of the night, you know. And if you cross over to the side, you know, boy is day, you know. And I feel like it always gave me that perspective. I was always aware of Nigerian life beyond just what my family life was. A lot of this defined who I am. And I was a big reader. I was a big dreamer from young. I would constantly lived in my own world. I constantly was always off somewhere. And I think the love of like words came early because my mother was so, for her, like this English, you gotta know. So she was really big on that. So I was a big reader. All of us were. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of informed my rap style. But I feel like it wasn't until much later that I made that connection to music. And but a childhood that really just encourages life and curiosity is the foundation. First ones, I like the phrase "finding hip hop." For me, was anything but. There was no escaping that. You know, that was the dominant sound. That was what was popping. Rap music, 100%. You know, in the house as we grew older, that was the big sound. You know, and all my cousins, especially the male cousins, we were into that. You know, we loved that. We had our favorites, and you know, I was really such a big Nas fan, rap wise. I just liked his wordplay. I loved how like that was always his focus on any track, and I realized like how such a great writer he was. And but you know, it's funny because like my cousins, they will go and write raps fully, but I'll be the one to go and listen to different tracks and like take raps, lift them together, and I'll compose my own, and I'll come and say that was my verse, you know. So it's so funny that this is what I do for a living. But how I really found it was there was always an appreciation, always a love, not just for hip hop, but for all kinds of music in the house. Like my parents would play a lot of old American soul records. That was their era. You know, my pops, he went to school in Yankee. He went to a university in Yankee, so he was into a lot of that. My mom loves her some Al Green, trust me. And you know, so we had a lot of that, BB and CC Winers, and a lot of Nigerian music too, because Grandpopsy was a very staunch Fela fan, you know. So, and there's somebody my mom loved, Benson. Taxi driver, I don't care. You know, like so we had you know, like Idairo. We had people growing up. But like, one thing I really appreciate is like the role of like Channel O, NTV, especially because then that's how guys were hearing Blink 182 and, you know, so Avril Lavigne, you know, you're hearing all this other kind of music that I immediately liked. And to me, it's not about whether it's from here, not from here. It's like what appeals to me as an individual. And I think that that really opened my mind to like the different styles of music, you know. But finding hip hop for myself, that was not until college. At that point in time, I think all of these experiences had soaked inside me. And I met this guy. He used to cut my hair. His name is Greg. And from Greg, I met Jeff. Jeff and I became friends. We're chilling. Jeff comes over to my place. He starts to play me music. And I'm like, oh, this is mad. He's like, yeah, this is me rapping. I'm like, whoa, get away from here. I'm in school in North Carolina, by the way, at the point. And it was this boy called Kurt. Kurt is an Oyinbo boy, top to bottom. His last name is Camp Schroeder. You understand? That kind of white boy. But man, did he have soul. And, you know, so I met these guys. I met Jeff first. And then one day I'm just like, yo, can you leave this beat with me? The track I still remember is called The Journey. So just leave it. And then the next day we saw I'd written a verse. I can't tell you why, till this day, what drove me to put pen to paper, but I wrote that verse. And I wish I could find it now. But I haven't stopped writing since then. So something deep inside me that I didn't even know about must have just woken up. And it took all that information, all of that rapping with my cousins, liking this record or liking that record, listening to MTV or Channel O, whatever it was, and it turned into this. You know, I started to write my own verses. And me, Jeff, Kurt, we became a group. Jeff and I did the rapping, Kurt made the beats, lyrically equipped. We even had a sign like L-E-Q. It's crazy. You know, we had shows on campus. We had a little, small, like our close friends, a small little tiny fan base. Shout out to them, they know themselves. So, I mean, from there, it's funny, I'm the only one still like in music like full time, although Kurt is still there, you know, but they still follow what I do. And that's just like, I started music from camaraderie. I started music from something I didn't know about, you know, and then in North Carolina, finding hip hop, right? It was, my taste had now become more specific. Now I'm really like focusing on what Little Brother is doing, particularly Fonte, because I'm like, my taste was drawing me to that wordplay. I didn't come up through like battle rap. I think everybody's experience was different. A lot of guys that I meet, you know, especially guys that went to Union Night, you know, a lot of battle rap, like Covenant Boys, they used to battle themselves. A lot of guys came out from that side. But for me, it came with introspective, me and myself, my thoughts, figuring out the best way to say something that I was feeling. And I feel like that really was embodied by Fonte. I loved Elzai from Slum Village. Yeah, you know, like the wordsmiths, the picky connoisseurs of words, you know. Lupe, mainly because of Lupe's imagination. Like he rapped a verse about a robot. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Like, why? Because you can, you know. And ultimately, like Drake, because of his early acceptance of the role melody played in his verses, because you have to understand that I'm Nigerian. I'm in America, but I'm a Nigerian boy. And I'm realizing that in addition to the rap verses, there's some melodies that are there, which I'm not really addressing because I'm a rapper, you're not supposed to sing, right? Why are you not supposed to sing? Somebody somewhere might have done it on a verse, or that's just what I was seeing at the time. Not because I genuinely felt that way. And here I see a young rapper eventually who has embraced that. And he's a big fan of Fonte from Little Brother, which Fonte has a whole like singing album with Nicolay. So Foreign Exchange, you understand? So these are guys that are, you know, they've passed through what, I mean, I'm sure I'll talk about it eventually, but the identity crisis that I feel, especially rappers in Nigeria, they face is because you've been told somewhere that or it has been shown to you that you separate those worlds, you know, your lyricism from whatever melodies that you might have, and you keep those separate because you're a rapper, so you're meant to act this way. And I get that, because like hip hop didn't just come with the music, it came with a lifestyle. It came with a way to behave, a way to dress, a way to talk. It takes a long time, or took a while, to find hip hop for myself. And I don't mean because I went from listener to creator to artist, right? And that journey from like, I'm getting into it, I'm creating, now to artist, that's finding hip hop. That's realizing what it means for you, despite whatever your foundations were. So, but that's the first like connection point for me. Yo, for sure. Like, actually, sheesh. Kurt, I owe you a call. He messaged me the other day, like, can we speak this weekend? So yeah, me and Kurt speak. Jeff and I speak, not as frequently, but I check in. I know what's up with him. I'm gonna change that. And Greg, who, like, the group, like, lyrically equipped in my mind includes Greg any day. You know, even though he doesn't rap, he's our guy. Greg is 6'3", dark-skinned boy from New York. Going to in America was different for a Niger boy. You really have to find yourself, like, who you are. Of course I finished school. Are you kidding me? That sacrifice, that amount of money, that amount of intention and hope, I had to, you know, graduated with honors. For me, it was always about commitment, you know, and I was like, you know, they're not going to come all this way, how many miles? And they're not saying cum laude, summa cum laude, magna cum laude, something next to my name, you know. I know that they might not pronounce the name right, but that cum laude, that graduated with honors, they're going to say clear, you know, and it was memorable. It was crazy. I remember when my parents came, my mom that was her first time visiting the school that she has been sacrificing blood and sweat for me to go to. And she was like, oh my God, she shed a tear because she saw how like isolate, it was far in the middle of nowhere. There was like a Native American population around there, and she was just like, was this why I sent you to school? But you know, it was important. But I graduated, I finished school, double majored in biology and chemistry, but chose to be a rapper. Like, that's a long story on its own. But I eventually came back. My introduction to music into Nigeria, first and foremost, before I even landed back, I remember hearing Kenny Big Deal. I'd gone to see my cousin, and she lived in LA, and her boyfriend at the time, I think he was playing Into's Kenny Big Deal in the car, and I was just like, what is this? And at this point, I had the notion that, okay, the kind of rap I've been exposed to here is very different from Nige. Who's really rapping with this kind of way in Nige? You know, like, when I left, I knew who it was. You know, it was a different, it wasn't this with these cadences. It wasn't with, you know, I had a different perspective, somebody who's been gone for a long time's perspective. And then I heard the Kenny Big Deal, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what is this? I was blown. I rinsed that record, and I was ginger to go back. So I came home, and it's ironic because the person that was like, why rap? Music? Was the person that linked it up, my mom, see, because when she came to America, she found I played them a song, and they're like, Ladipo here. It's Ladipo that is rapping. And my dad was like, really? You know, so they were just still like catching the cruise, but they did not believe that this is something I was going to take seriously. Of course not. After how many thousands of dollars that I've scraped together to, you know, so you can't really want to do this for real. But she knew I had a passion. She knew I liked it. She knew it was entertaining. It was bringing me joy. So she's educating herself. I think she had gone for this business course, and she meets another mother whose son is afflicted with the same disease, the same affliction of words, you know, and he's into music. And so they do what mothers do. You know, they connect, they look out because of their kids, they look out for their kids. And let's introduce them. And that turned out to be Tech. We show them camp, you know. And so it's like, okay, we're going to meet him today. It's like a play date, you know. So I don't know if we call or how we arrange it, but we're meeting. I've told this story many times in different places, but at the Chicken Republic on Isaac John, where like, I can't remember, Adebola house, and I meet Tech, and I can't lie, like it was such a definitive moment for like my ultimate like shift to doing this eventually as a life thing. But we met and we connected. He was half of a group called Show Them Count. I put out 2 projects well, we had done 2 albums, which we didn't know how to release. So we made it mainly for ourselves and the people we performed for. But me and Lyrically Equipped, we did Rhyme and Reason, and we did something called Hip Hop Anonymous. So I played him records from Hip Hop Anonymous. Don't take that name. I'm still gonna use it in the future. Hip Hop Anonymous, and I played him some records, and he was blown by just the word. And the word, see, at that point, you know, like I said, I was diving into words in a different way. It was rap, but it was adjacent because Kurt's a white boy. So, I mean, we're getting hip hop beats, but and he could play guitar. So we're getting, you know, folk stuff, we're getting different sounds. So my rap style, I was already at this point accustomed to hearing things I liked, whether it is hip-hop driven or not, and finding a way to rap on it. That was the thing. I prided myself and I can rap on anything. So I played some stuff for Tech. This guy played me Dreamer with MI before they dropped it. And I was like, yo, I thought there was nobody else. I thought that was, you know, I really felt like the way I'm rapping, who out here is on this wave? But take a sip on that because they were on that level and they invited me to the studio. Then I met Icon, I met Syndicate, I met Lynx, I met Black Magic. And then they put me on a record called Send It My Way Freestyle. We shot it with Onibumbo in the trenches. That's our piece where we used to shoot all of our videos. By the time I'm reaching Talk About Poe, that's 2018, I'm signed. I signed him even in 2017. Prior to that though, I would say maybe I've been rapping now. Like I started to take rap a lot more serious from about 2014, 2015. Because at that point in time, I dropped like some early songs like Koyewon, New Era as an artist called Poe. I'd been on some records with Fowls. Shout out to Sparks, because working with Sparks is how I met Fowls. Fowls we were working together at the time. And through that, I delivered a verse which eventually became Marry Me. You know, Marry Me started off as a verse I had written on a track that Sparks had made, which Fowls heard. And then he was like, this is crazy. But me, you know, I wasn't artisting then. You know, I was a rapper writing dope verses on beats that I liked. And, you know, he made that into a song, you know, put Yemi on it, put his verse. That turned into a massive record. Like, when I look back, shout out Icon, so many sessions that guys ultimately did not have money to pay for. Do you understand? But Icon ran that session, ran that gen. Gotta love the real niggas, you know? Anyways, yeah, but all of that led to being seen somehow or heard of by Jazzy, right? And that was the last thing I would have expected. At that point in time, you know, there was this, and I think as time has shown that it's not the case, but it was this understanding that Jazzy didn't even rate rap. So that was the last thing that I was expecting. Being on a label, you quickly realize what a label is. If you're not ready to bring in work and if you don't know who you are, you're gonna get lost. There's nobody to just hold your hand. It's not a hand-holding thing. You really have to come with a strong sense of self. So I made Tap at a time when I was like, I removed myself from the studio setting. I don't think I recorded any single song I made in. You know, I left, I started tapping back to guys, hanging out with guys again, you know. I remember a call from Tech, like, yo, what's up, man? You haven't dropped in a while. Like, what's the piece? Now I've had this other song and that other song. You know, other friends, you know, my babe was like, what's up with this, that, other? And I was like, yeah, I have records that I've recorded, you know? So I put together Tap. I had Voices, I had Hello Goodbye. I had a couple of records already done that I made the rest from the stories that I knew, you know, from the things I could tell were true to me. And Taps has become a foundational project for me since then. Like the core lifelines believe in it. And the mindset that I had at the time was like, this is an introduction. That's why it's called Talk About Poe. It's like, hi, my name is Ladipo. You know, this is who I am. These are my stories. This is how I rap. I was introducing a style more than anything. And I started saying things like no punchlines, just lifelines. Where it's like, I believe in punchlines day, but it's about like, the punchline is the package. The lifeline is when you open up that package, it's the gift. It's the thing that It's intangible, but it affects you and it's impactful to you. The packaging is nice. The thing that makes you say, oh, punchline is, ooh. A lifeline is, whoa, yo, you know? So like Tap introduced that. That's where I was at. And then Providence, by then I knew who I was. After at Providence, I 2018's Tap, 2019, I was like, I remember saying to my, it's like, I think I'm done with music. I don't know. I was dropping dry. I was like, I just don't know. I don't know if my sound, my way is, people are, will they believe? Like, I was losing some faith. I'd been in it for a while now. And then next year I dropped Know You. It's crazy. I had Know You when I did Tap. I just didn't put it on Tap. I recorded Know You in 2017. I dropped it in 2020. It didn't feel like it sounded right on Tap. Shout out to Simi. Simi's my friend. She wanted to take that record a couple of times. She waited. I dropped it in lockdown. Changed my life. At that point in time, I was more comfortable as an artist, Like, I did this is called Adore Her like years ago. That was already me kind of experimenting with what it's like to put my style of rap with more like Afrobeat type sounds. I was there early with the Palm Wine music era. I have a song called Slow It Down, Adore Her. And then Know You was just another foray into that. I was comfortable. And then I felt like I was a songwriter. We wrote that song together, and I sang parts of it. And it turned into a massive record for me. But 2020 was there. I wasn't being booked. Nobody was being booked. We all locked down. But, fate to have it, Feeling came next year. Yeah. And it was up from there. At this point, I've gone from Poe. When I joined Maven, I had to turn that to Ladipo for legal reasons. And then as Ladipo, I had a different kind of understanding of music and rap in Nigeria. Yeah. Yeah. I knew it now I could now taste what Illy, NATO were doing that year when they had gone from, we love to do this, we are MCs, there is a lot of substance here, to keeping that same authenticity, but like, this is my single. I'm putting out records that were big, that were on radio, that were on TV. I now understood the duality they were balancing. I didn't realize, I thought, it was all joined, but no, there's an understanding of the different sides of rapper that you can be and are to navigate what it means. To me, commercial doesn't mean that you're watering down your lyrics. It means that now somebody wants to pay you money because they like your song. You're now a commercial artist, you're bookable. That's a whole different type of thing to just making music for the love of it. You now have to make decisions. You can't ignore the business at that point. To this day, and I think this is probably representative in every music industry in the world, having that big rap single is a fight because you're competing with something that is so intrinsic to people, which is song melody. Somebody singing, that's as natural as breathing air. So having rap adds an extra layer. Rap says, feel, I'll listen, And so to have like a record like Feeling carve out a way for me at a time when there was big records out, it shattered the last ceiling that I'd placed over myself, the last bit of doubt. It shattered that completely. It was like, you know what? The thing in you are always right. So like the worst thing I wish on an artist is dropping a song you don't believe in and becomes a hit. I just don't know what that does to your psyche, performing something that it doesn't connect to you. I'm grateful that every record that I put out, whether them hits or not, a type connects to me deeply. Even Feeling is deep. I like the way I'm feeling now. No confusion. Like one small thing really stressed me, but right now, like I'm choosing to feel good. To me, that's deep. Especially in a country like Nigeria, which is like hostile to creativity. So like, to me, I think I wish that for every artist, every rap artist, that you have a song, flagship records that bring people to your actual sound, to your to your authenticity. 4 years since my last project. I owe the Lifelines the album. I can't tell what it's going to be called yet. I wish I could give you guys that exclusive, but yeah, the album is coming, and I know God is part of that project as well. So I mean, that's the first time I've said that anywhere. But really, I've come to a place where I know where I want to go. I know the people I feel like I'm leading. There's a whole demographic, and I want to be the ambassador that shows people that it's possible. Life is just a game. I like to lead by goals. Can't wait to extra time the referee might blow. So what am I doing here? Is it to test my faith? Because I've been sick for many years. I'm starting to feel like Joe. My name is Ladipo, and hip-hop, I say thank you.
From the heart, hip-hop, I say thank you. From the heart, hip-hop, I say thank you.